So the circle of power is simply a way that we can change our internal state. I mentioned before to people in the meetups that I've held, is that there's three components or three parts that make up you. There's your internal state, your internal computation, and your external environment. And all these three act as a symbiont system. So they all work together in synchronicity.
So what's the computation?
So the internal computation is your mind and your thinking.
Oh.
The internal state is your state of emotion.
Okay.
And your external behaviour is then what you do.
Okay.
So let's give an example. So you think a thought, I want to be more loving towards a child or my child. Okay, I've been a bit distant, I've been busy working, I want to be more loving towards my child. So that's my thought. So if I think that, then that can change, and then I start thinking about, well, how do I actually feel about my child? I love my child. So I start feeling good feelings, then I act in behaviour. Maybe I get them a present, or I take them out for an outing to the park, and that affects my behaviour. So we go from a thought to a feeling to a behaviour or an action. Okay, we go and do something about it. Now it can also work the other way. Like let's say that my wife calls me up and says, listen, I'm busy tonight, can you look after Joseph and Jake? I've got to go out, I need you to look after them, do something with them special. So then I go and do the behaviour of looking after them, and as I'm spending time with them, I start to feel a lot of love for them, and then I start, in my mind, I think to myself, oh, I should spend more time building a relationship with my children. So now we've worked from the opposite direction, from the behaviour to the feeling, back to the thought. So all three affect each other. Now we could go straight from the feeling. Like perhaps I'm seeing a movie, I'm watching this movie and I see the father absolutely hugging his child and holding the child close and really sharing a warm and tender moment with his child. And I get this feeling in my body. And straight away I get this thought, I need to go hug my child and tell them that I love them. So I walk over and I hug my child, I do the behaviour. See how that works? So each one of them affects the other. So it's our thoughts, our feelings and our behaviours. And what it comes down to is that all behaviour is state dependent. It's our state of mind and emotions that affects our behaviour, what we do. Okay, same thing happens with our behaviour. Our behaviour can affect the way we think, the way we feel. And our emotions can affect the way we think and what we do, our actions. So all three are connected. And you change just one of them, you change your whole life. You can change that situation on that day, or you can take it to the extreme and you can change everything about your life. Just by a new thought, just by a new feeling, just by a new action or behaviour you're taking. That's how it works. So one thing could be a new habit, that's your behaviour. That'll affect the way you feel, that'll affect the way you think, and over time if you maintain that habit, you will get a change or a different life. And that's how it works. Is that interesting, simple? But that's the simple basics of NLP, and that's kind of what NLP is about, is helping us to change our state of mind, change our state of emotion, so that we get new behaviours in our life. Because if we're not getting the things that we want out in life, things aren't working out the way we desired, then who have you got to blame? We can go around and we can blame. You can have a blame list as long as your arm, and you could blame your parents for your upbringing. You could blame them for the imprinting that they gave you. Perhaps you didn't see a good example or role models of parents. So you blame your parents. You say, it's your fault. If I had been born to those parents who are very loving and have a wonderful relationship, then I'd be able to have a good relationship. But because I don't, I'm stuck. And I'm stuck with your parents. And so you blame people. We blame our parents. Then you could blame your teachers because they didn't teach you right. Let's say you're like my son, Joseph, and you're dyslexic. And it was really hard for you to read. So you're dyslexic, it's hard for you to read, so you could just blame the system, blame the school system. The school system didn't work for me. I was unable to make friends because they put me on the spot, they made me get out in front of the class and read to everyone. I felt embarrassed, I shut down, closed off, pushed the world away, and this experience of my life is the school's fault. So we can just have a blame list as long as our arm. We can blame everybody and everything. We can blame the government. We can certainly blame them for raising taxes and, there's no help for those that are struggling. Where's the help? They don't care anymore. So we can blame the government. We certainly can. Or we can blame the environment. let's say your roof tile and it keeps raining. You blame the environment. How am I supposed to get out there and fix roofs? How am I supposed to get out there and create roofs when it keeps raining? I can't. I need clear skies. I need sunshine in order to do my work. Therefore, I blame the weather. So we can blame everything and everyone. Now, NLP was created as a way for each of us to take full control of our mind, our emotion, and our actions, by understanding that, first of all, we can change. And some people don't believe that. Some people in their belief continuum, if you would call it that, have this idea that it's not possible. In fact, I've explained my relationship with my wife, and I have a wonderful relationship with my wife. And I explained this to a young man who'd been in and out of several relationships, and I told him about our relationship, and the first thing that he did was not believe it was possible. Even though I'm telling him this is what my relationship's like, he was saying, well, I don't believe you. And I find that when I go out and I teach a relationship workshop, people look at me with skepticism. They go, no, it's not possible. No two people can love each other like that. Because we don't have just a good or a great relationship. My wife and I have a phenomenal relationship. We have a relationship where we have open communication. I'm not saying we don't have problems, because we do. But we both believe that we can have an exceptional relationship. We both believe that. And because of that, and because of our desire to make that or create that, we've created it. And we continue to create it. Now, some people don't believe it's possible. And so we've got on one side of the spectrum, we've got not possible. And this is where some people sit. And what you're looking at here is limited self-belief. You've got limited beliefs and you say it's not possible. For example, it's not possible that I can get to an athlete standard. It's not possible that I can be healthy and fit. It's not possible that I could run a quarter or a half or a full marathon. It's not possible. Not possible for me. There was one man.
People might say not possible for me.
Yeah, not possible for me. Not possible. So the one is, there was a man who was born with flat feet, and as a small child he went along and saw many doctors, and they told him that because of his feet, because of how flat they were, there was no arch at all, and there were some problems with the ridge, that he would never run. And he was told this by doctors, and he believed it at the time. Now, as he discovered NLP, he wondered if this was true. He wondered if it was not possible for him. Like, yeah, it's possible for other people with a ridge and the right sort of foot and the right shape, with the right shoes, they can run no problem. But for him, maybe it's not possible. So he was able to change his belief. And so he went from not possible to possible.
Girls have got, doctors and child girls, they can't have pregnant, can't have babies. Yeah. It's happened for them. That's right.
So NLP is there to help us change our belief to something that's not possible, to suddenly, wait, it's possible. For example, myself being a seminar leader and instructor, there was a time in my life where I didn't think it was possible. I was always planning it, I was always working towards it, but never able to take the leap. It's like that leap of faith that we talk about. The philosophers talk about that you go to the edge of the darkness and you take this leap, or edge of the light, I should say, edge of the light towards the darkness, and there's darkness in front, and these people take this leap into the darkness, not knowing what will happen, only to find the ways lit ahead. And that's what they talk about, this philosopher's leap. And it's kind of like that when you take on a new challenge and you move from this not possible to suddenly possible. And so I had two limiting beliefs that were keeping me stuck. The two limiting beliefs were I'm not ready, I don't know enough. Who's ever felt that way? Yeah. Probably. You felt that?
Probably.
You ever felt that you're not ready to do something, or you don't know enough to do it? To give some advice about a topic, or to teach something, or to do a practice? So it's this leap from not possible to suddenly possible. But there's one step further. NLP teaches us that we can go from not possible all the way over to probable. So not possible, possible, probable. Now what's the difference here with this word probable? Probable is it's probably going to happen. If I pursue this course of behaviour, it's probably going to get me the results that I'm after. And so we go from not possible to maybe it's possible. This is where we hold the idea in our mind and go, maybe, to then we go to probable. And beyond probable, we'd go to something like
Well, if you do it, then it's done.
Yeah.
I mean, these are all before. I was thinking possible was, oh yes, it's possible because I've done it.
Yeah.
But probable is even greater than possible.
Yeah, probable is even greater. And so what we want to do is get our belief system. And so if there's an area of your life that, let's say, you haven't mastered at this point. Now, it could be your relationships, could be your health, could be your finances, could be spirituality, or connectedness to God. So the first place we go to is say, well, what's my limitation? Why am I sitting here in the not possible? Where's the limitation? Where's the thing that's holding me back? What is it? And we identify that, we become really clear, because clarity is power. Once we're clear about something, we can change it. If we've got no clarity, we don't know what we're doing. We're just floundering. Once we're clear on it, we can do something. So for me, the clarity came when I realised that my beliefs were, I'm not ready and I don't know enough. And this was the not possible. It was not possible for me to be a seminar leader, a life coach, and a neurological repatterning expert. It wasn't possible. Because I wasn't ready and I didn't know enough. And so what did I do? I decided, well, I needed to get ready and know enough. And so I did years and years of study. Study, as many books as I could study. Now, after all this study, you would think that I would feel ready and feel that I knew enough. Wouldn't you? After 5-10 years of study on a topic, you'd think that there was still this belief that I wasn't ready and I didn't know enough. So guess what? I studied more. I studied harder. I kept studying. And you know what? If I hadn't have got that insight that it was possible or even probable, then I'd still be there today. I'd still be stuck here in this idea of, I don't know enough, I'm not ready. And so some people are ever learning and never able to come to a knowledge of the truth. They're ever learning. They're running around learning all these techniques and technologies and they do nothing with it because they're not ready and they don't know enough. And so it's this constant need to get more information, even though you have it. It's inside of you. What you lack is the belief in yourself. What you lack is the ability to say, no, it's possible. No, even one step further, it's probable. I know that if I go and do that, it's possible for me to really make a difference in people's lives. It's possible for me to change. And it's possible for me to cause others to change. And they'll cause others to change. It becomes like a ripple effect. Make sense? So this is really what NLP is about, is an idea of what's called modelling. Modelling. Now that's a very powerful word. Let's look at that, modelling. Is that how you spell it? Is it 2 L's?
2 L's.
It is 2 L's? Modelling?
Looks good.
Looks good. So NLP came about because there was 2 men, and they were in grad school at the time. The year was 1976, and Richard Bandler and John Grinder got together. Richard was a mathematician and John was a linguist. And they got together and they said, wouldn't it be great if there was a system that people could go through where they could change their belief in themselves from it's not possible to do something to suddenly it's possible, and they're able to obtain mastery in it. And not over many, many years, but in the shortest possible time. Wouldn't it be great if we had a system that people could go through where they could change their limiting beliefs and suddenly get results where there were no results before? And so what they did was they studied 3 people and 3 psychologists. And their names were, first of all, it was Fritz Perls, who was a Gestalt therapist from Germany. The second person they looked into was Virginia Satir, who was a famous family therapist who was getting magical results over in the States. And the third one was Milton Erickson, who's the father of modern day hypnotherapy. Now, by studying these 3 psychologists, what they wanted to do was find what worked and disregard or get rid of everything else. So they wanted to discover what works and what doesn't work. And so while studying these ideas, what they came to realise and understand, and there's an NLP saying that says the map is not the territory. I'll say that again so you get it. The map is not the territory. Now what they're talking about is that your map of the world is not the world itself. Your map of the world is simply an interpretation of the world.